And the premature anointing of Christopher Luxon as a National Party candidate could prove problematic for the party's leader, Simon Bridges. The former Air New Zealand boss has yet to get the formal stamp of approval as Nationals candidate in the Botany electorate, and then battle through a gloves-off campaign. If he does win his way into Parliament next year, talk will quickly turn to his chances as leader. Mr Luxon isn't giving interviews until after the selection process has run its course, but plenty of others have weighed in on his political future. Here's our Deputy Political Editor, Craig McCulloch.
Just a day after Christopher Luxon announced he'd throw his hat in the ring for the national candidacy in Botany, and his name already has a certain shine to it among voters in the Auckland electorate. Indeed, some seem to think he already has the job in the bag.
Yeah, he's the new MP, and I hope he gets the vote. He'll have my vote anyway.
100% support him.
Probably he's got a lot more credibility, perhaps a lot more honest.
National need to get their act together, and Luxon would be a good choice.
He's already won some high-profile endorsements too. Sir John Key, the former Prime Minister, throwing his weight behind the former Air New Zealand boss on Newstalk ZB.
Look, he's a world-class candidate. He brings, I think, huge business experience, international experience. He's a great communicator, but he's actually a modern-day thinker for New Zealand, and I think he'll do the same thing if he makes it into Parliament.
But Mr Luxon's easy arrival could yet turn into a bitter battle. If successful in his bid to be Nationals contender, he'll face off against the incumbent Jamie Lee Ross, a man fighting for his political survival with little to lose. Mr Ross struck out as an independent last year, throwing a grenade into the National Party on his way out the door. And he's promising not to go quietly.
Local people deserve a local voice. They have someone who's a strong local voice right now, and I'm happy to put that 15-year track record up for people to make a decision on.
Botany is a true blue seat. It's voted 2 ticks national since its formation. In fact, Jamie Lee Ross won more than 21,000 votes at the last election. The next candidate behind him got just 8,500. But with Mr Ross now an independent, the Auckland councillor Sharon Stewart is picking voters will stick with the party over the candidate.
What we had in the last year or so has been ghastly, to be perfectly honest, and people want a clean election, and they don't want to have people that are firing bullets at each other and bringing up dirt.
I just don't think he's been upfront and honest.
I've got no time for him whatsoever. If you're married, you stay with your wife. You don't mess around with other women.
His reputation is like pull me down. That's why I don't like him.
The sentiment's not what Mr Ross says he's hearing on the ground. He says he's confident voters will back him over a candidate parachuted in from outside.
In fact, I think it's arrogant and cynical and quite frankly rude towards the local community here in Botany for the National Party board to believe they can use this seat as simply a stepping stone to solve their leadership issues.
And therein lies another potential problem for National, chiefly for its leader Simon Bridges. Mr Bridges has turned down interview requests on the topic thus far, but is surely not pleased at the prospect of increasing commentary touting Mr Luxon as a leader in waiting, a narrative his political opponents are already revelling in.
This is a terrible commentary on the current leadership and talent of the National Party.
The New Zealand First Leader Winston Peters, never one to pull his punches. The Deputy Prime Minister lambasting any move to drop an outsider in an electorate, and for a former leader in Sir John to effectively anoint him.
The old National Party would have thought that was sacrilegious and downright bad manners.
This is all premature, of course. Mr Luxon still has to make it through a selection committee and then win over some 60 national delegates from the Botany area. Then he has to win his way into Parliament. Not until then will the public see how he performs as an MP, and perhaps more importantly, how he gets along with a caucus full of those with their own ambitions. From Parliament for Checkpoint, Craig McCulloch.